3.
Good morning. It's good to be with you today. Going to start out with a really bad joke. Question: what does a house wear? Answer: a dress. A dress. I told you it's bad. God's little instruction book says you can always tell a real friend when you've made a fool of yourself, he or she doesn't feel you've done a permanent job. Proverbs 17 verse 9 says, "He who covers and forgives an offense seeks love, but he who repeats or harps on a matter separates even close friends." I believe that down to my toes. We've been dealing with for a few weeks now Cain and Abel, mostly Cain. Today it says, Cain left the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. It would seem from the text that the biblical tradition was that the cradle of civilization is actually in the east of Eden, the land of Nod, wanderers. From the earliest passage, the text favored the wanderers, not the settled ones. This is partly due to reality, for we know from our studies that the earliest migrant humans dwelled at riverbeds, behind natural barriers, and caves. Each migration had its reason. Sources of water, navigational routes, the need to covet vast expanses where game and produce could be found, caves and shelters where one could be protected from the elements. This led to the formation of alliances between the wanderers and whatever or whomever they discovered in natural sequences. For instance, the sun and the stars and the moon acted as guides for the seasons, planting and harvesting. The sun was relied upon for its warmth, heating rays, and power over plant life. Caves provided shelter from the carnivores who ate beast and human alike. In the caves, one often finds recorded history's tales, people's myths, and above all, the political establishments dotting the world's surface. Cain, in his new domicile, sets about producing the next generation. In generations following Cain and Hevel, an attempt is made, according to the text, to establish human enclaves. In the names given to those who followed Cain and Hevel, we can discern the outlines of these. Cain's first offspring is named Enoch. It means learning, education. This is the first step toward passing down the wisdom of the ancient ones, hoping to enrich the city built by Cain and his list of offspring. In the story of Cain, an abbreviated form of Adam and Hava, one sees the outlines of emerging civilization, both nomadic and in some ways settled. On the settled side, there have been found metal artifacts, harvesting tools that have provided independence from God. At first, the flexing of human muscles is a matter of individual acts, but then we find preemptive attempts leading to violence and bloodshed. At this point, Adonai intervenes as if to say, if you want to go your own individual way, go for it. For I gave you the special breath, which is the source of your personal individualism, your intelligence, and your self-fulfillment. But once you take upon yourselves the role of God, no longer subject to any limitations, but forever asserting yourself at the expense of others, I will call a halt. In Genesis 4:26, we read, a son was also born to Seth, and he called him by the name Enosh. It was then the name of Adonai was invoked. This verse is followed by Adam's genealogy. Adam was created by Elohim, the Lord. On the day he was created, his appearance or likeness was that of Elohim, the difference being that one was God and one was human. And the human contained at the birth of Adam both female and male characteristics. His genealogy is limited. Neither Cain nor Hevel are listed as Adam's children, only Seth. This is, according to the text, a true human chain. As we read in 4:26, Seth gave birth to Enosh. The other name for Enosh is Enoch. Enoch, the same as Cain. It's confusing. In that generation, humans attested their relationship to Adonai as they were made in Adonai or Elohim's image. In their identity with God, humans are accepted or rejected, given influence, guidance, and authority according to the text. Two strains of likeness to Adonai appeared, one belonging to Enoch, who walked with God, chapter 5:22 of Genesis, and the other to members of Noach's generation, we are told, which were corrupt, chapter 6, verse 9. Isn't this confusing? In an attempt to explain these two strains, the sages cite the source of corruption as the mixture of the sacred and the profane. The divine beings intermingled with humans, and this admixture produced a corrupt generation. In other words, the text is warning us that once the division between divine and human gets confused, there are dire, dire consequences. Genesis 6 is a review of the human condition. It has become a mixture of the eternal and of the now. For some reason, the barrier that separated the waters above from those below didn't seem to apply to human behavior. Thank you for listening to that. I'm not sure I learned too much, but it was interesting. Let's be at prayer. God, be with us this day. Give us grace. Help us to understand a little bit about our coming from God and being part of God and God being part of us. Sustain us, preserve us, and keep us this day and every day. Amen. Go in peace.